A basin of blood will be thrown in your face, is mentioned in folklore tales in Ireland.
What's your obsession with bowls and buckets of
They're
blood?
like knocks on your door and pranks
Yeah,
you
he
by
literally
throwing
pranking.
blood in your
He's
face.
like, trick or treat. Also, I'm gonna take your grandma while I'm at it. You're coming home with me.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, ghoul friends. Welcome to the Freaky Fam podcast. I'm Em.
And I am Doll. I was gonna say something funny, but then I decided not to. I was gonna say like I was a leprechaun or something.
Say something funny.
I was gonna say I don't know. I was trying to think
You're
of
one of the little people.
Yeah,
or
I was
something.
gonna say something like some Irish name or something, but it's too late for that.
Top of the morning to you. Happy St. Patrick's.
You sounded like you're from Jersey.
Happy St.
We're straight off Jersey
I'm a
Shore.
Jersey leprechaun.
Yes.
I need to watch Darby.
We're gonna input Irish music as the opening. Wait, that's the Mexican hat dance. Whoopsie. I'm the queen of the leprechauns. Oh, my accent? Don't talk about it.
I am super excited about our episode today because we are going to talk about the Banshee, which is Irish folklore.
Don't say that name around me.
The Banshee? Have you experienced the Banshee?
Yeah, me and all my little people. Me leprechaun.
I think they call them little people now, don't they?
Wait, were leprechauns just little people?
Yeah.
Leprechauns were little people. Oh my goodness. We are almost little people, you know, even though we're Scottish.
4'11", I feel like that's really close to little people.
We got Irish blood in us too because we got the Wilsons. Even though Wilsons is also Scottish, I think.
We're Scotch. Yeah, we're Scotch-Irish. Oh yeah, you know what though? Thinking about Irish. You remember the Disney movie Luck of the Irish?
Yes, about the basketball.
With that kid from Smart House. Oh my gosh.
And he also was the bad guy in Pretty Little Liars.
I know. I was like, oh, I couldn't stand him after watching.
Yeah, I know. Since it's St. Patrick's Day, let's see if the blokes even know what you know about St. Patty. Did you know St. Patty supposedly became a saint because he drove all the snakes out of Ireland? What you know about that?
For real?
Yeah,
though?
that's supposedly why he's a saint.
I'll look up Irish.
I'm Irish. Are you not trusting my word?
No, I'm looking up Irish slang that we can use in the podcast. Ooh. The slang wagon.
Paddy wagon. That's what that's the paddy wagon. They used to call. Okay, that's another fun fact for you.
Idjit, gas, maggot, grand, jax.
We said gas. That's gas now.
Jaxed. Deadly, fair play.
None of those are Irish enough for me. Though, did you know that they called used to call police cars the paddy wagon because the majority of police officers were Irish immigrants and they called them paddies as like St. Paddy's. So they called it the paddy wagon. That's another fun fact for you.
You're welcome.
I was about to sound pirate for a second. I feel like the Scottish accent is much more easy to do because it's like so much harder and so much into it.
So,
tell us about the Banshee.
I feel like I sound British.
That's a little British.
And the Scots did not like the British.
Yes, we don't like the Brit. Like, who likes the British? If you want to be real.
Nobody. I do not claim if I am any of
that. Well, I'm turning into a fighting Irish when you tell me about the British.
Okay, so the Banshee. In Irish folklore, a Banshee is a supernatural female spirit that warns of death by wailing. The word Banshee comes from the Irish bean sea which means woman of a fairy mound.
I want to be called a banshee.
But then I'm thinking of mounds, and I feel like they use mounds as forms of boobs. And I'm like,
I was just thinking of
mound.
Rolling Green Hills, but okay.
I went the other direction. Too much dark romance. Anyway, okay. The appearance of the banshee is a beautiful, alluring woman in white. Or an old crone, partially naked, with red eyes, carrying a bowl of blood.
That's very, very different. Yes. Man, can you imagine being the unlucky bloke that got to see the banshee that's holding the bowl of blood?
An old crone.
An old crone.
Her behaviors: she roams the countryside. She wails, screams, shrieks, or keens at night. I don't know what keens mean. But significance: a peaceful warner or mourner of death. I don't feel like that's peaceful. She's screaming and shrieking.
I guess she's just
and wailing. In Ireland, banshees were believed to warn only families of pure Irish descent. Some say she was a young girl who was murdered, a woman who died in childbirth. So which was it? Was she a young woman that died in childbirth?
They can't agree on nothing.
But, well, because it says a young girl who was murdered, so that's not the same as dying in childbirth.
There's probably two. Maybe there's two different ones. Maybe. She's literally the original, like, warning system. She's literally like the original tornado siren.
For death, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what telling you better hide or you're gonna get killed. Maybe she was a tornado siren for the Irish.
Maybe that.
The Irish tornado siren. But it was actually the Irish potato siren.
Do they even have tornadoes in Ireland?
That's why she was the Irish potato siren. Get it?
Yes. Oh, man. Okay, so her legacy. The banshee is found across Irish literature, art, music, and jewelry. The banshee is inspired by several bands, including, I'm gonna mess that, Sussex, and the Banshees, the Banshee, and the Banshees.
I'm about to click on an Irish accent tutorial.
Are you? Voice is messing up.
Okay. Irish. I can say Irish in Irish accent. Irish. It's like British accent if British accent was good.
So let's talk about the Legend of the Banshee. I really wish I could speak this in Irish, but the name Banshee comes from the Irish word banna, which means a woman who calls out. In fact, the sound that the banshee makes is believed to be similar to that of a woman crying or wailing over someone's death. In our Irish upbringing, tales of the banshee's mournful cries were plentiful, and it is firmly believed that specific families were more attuned to the banshee call than others. Maybe if they're pure Irish descent, since we learned that earlier. Instances of some hearing her wail were widespread. Frequently, you'd encounter individuals recounting their experiences of hearing the banshee in the dead of night, only to receive a solemn news the very next day of a family member that had passed away. Such an eerie lent an air of mystery to the already haunting legend of the banshee. Death in Irish mythology. Death is a common theme in Irish mythology. The banshee, for example, is a spirit who appears before the death of someone in their family. Banshees are usually described as a female and travel through sound or smell, hence the name. They can also be heard wailing before someone dies. This wailing is thought to be caused by the soul departing the body. The banshee can be heard wailing near homes where someone is about to die. This phenomenon has been recorded in many cultures and time periods. It is believed that the soul of the deceased could fly away to another world if not guided by an angel or saint. The banshee's wail is a premonition of death and therefore should be ignored by those who live near when she cries out for help. The banshee may appear in a variety of forms. In some classes, she appears as an older woman with long white hair and red cheeks. At other times, she appears as a young woman with long black hair, blue eyes, and pale skin. She may be beautiful or old or bird-like. Sometimes she is as simple as a cat or an animal that seems to have no human shape at all.
They're like, basically, the banshee's anything. Anything you can think of. If it's making a screaming noise, that's the banshee right there.
Could be a banshee.
Okay, hold on. I want you to listen to this and tell me what you think of it. Hey, listeners, listen up. Do we think that's banshee? Do we think that's giving banshee? I think that's not giving banshee enough. Here, hold on. It doesn't sound very banshee to me, to be honest.
Did you search up banshee
Scream.
like
yes,
yell
banshee. Here,
or scream?
I looked up banshee scream, and then it gave me this picture of this white woman with white hair and a blue dress, and she's screaming. It's not very banshee-like to me, but so all I'm hearing right now is that we need to go to Ireland. I think we need to go back to our homeland, Ireland, and go try to find a banshee. But that's not a good sign if we find it, right? Knock on wood.
You better always
you got any wood around you? I ain't got no wood around me. I only got a glass table. Here. Who's there?
I don't know if it's real wood, but hopefully. Okay. The banshee has been seen in Ireland on many occasions since ancient times, and she is said to be the spirit of someone who died violently and very young. But then how come sometimes she's old?
They keep getting the
terrible screams. I guess so. Terrible screams often accompany the appearance of the spirit as it flies through the window looking for the next victim. So is that why you have to keep the window open so the soul can escape? Because the banshee's also got to leave?
You know, it's really... I keep thinking, when you're saying this stuff, I just keep thinking of Darby O'Gilly and the Little People. Where he's like watching, like he can hear it scream and he's trying to make him go away. But also, that means that there's something about the horsemen of death that come down in the carriage. What is that called? Because the banshee screams to let them know that someone's going to die, but then the horseman or the carriage comes down to take the soul away. That's an Irish folklore too.
Yeah.
It's a coach. I think it's the ghost coach. Can't leave without a soul inside of it. Has to leave with someone.
And non-sponsored, you can watch Darby O'Gill and the Little People on Disney Plus, and it has Matthew McConaughey
when he was literally just a thought in his mother's head.
Sean Connery, you can watch him in Darby O'Gill and the Little People. He's super young and handsome. I used to work with this nurse back when I was in healthcare, and he was convinced he could talk like Sean Connery, and I'd have him do it just so I could laugh at him because it was so bad. He's like, hold on, let me get into like my character. He's like, Sean Connery, and like kept saying it, and I'm just like, I didn't even try to talk. I would die laughing. I'm like, you did not sound like Sean Connery. He's like, yes, I do. It sound just like him.
And all he could say in Sean Connery's accent is Sean Connery.
Sean Connery.
Also, guys, if you watch that movie, you'll get to hear this really good song in it, but I'll sing it for you just in case, okay? Oh, she's my dear, my darling, and I don't know the lyrics of no other can match the likes of her. And I sung it in my accent for you too. Oh, he's my dear, my darling. You're supposed to sing the other part, Em. You threw it off.
I don't know it.
I say, oh, she's my dear, my darling, and you say, oh, he's my dear, my darling. And then you say, no other can match the likes of her. And then you do and we dance.
Oh man.
It's also funny when you think about it that there's cats that are trying to get at the little people too. Like trying to kill them in that movie. And we talked about how the banshee can be a cat.
Oh, I forgot about In case you might have guessed, the myth of the Banshee is still alive and very well today. But I did find some Reddit stories of people that think that they betrayed a Banshee. I did read some of these and they're pretty wild. So let me
But
pull
wait a
them up.
second. Listen, guys. If you, I'll say it in my Sean Connery accent. Don't forget to like and
Sean
subscribe. I'm
Connery.
Sean Connery. Even though I died in 2020 on Halloween night. I'm here
Which is weird. I wonder if he heard the Banshee.
The Banshee.
But I think it said he's Scottish, isn't he? He's not Irish.
What a poser. Yeah, the Banshee brought me back in the carriage to tell you guys to like, subscribe, help them get to 10,000 subs and listeners on Spotify, rate the Spotify podcast, and you will send them to Ireland, back to their hometown, even though they're from Scotland, to find banshees and leprechauns. Thank you so much, Sean Connery, for joining us. And yes, do what he said.
To bring good luck to all and all the gold.
Oh, there he goes. He's getting whisked away in the carriage. Bye, Sean. Man, I'm gonna have fun with sound effects with this one.
Okay. So I looked up to see if I could find any Banshee stories, and I did find some on Reddit that I'm gonna read. They're from 2 years ago, so they're actually not that old. So for people that might think they experienced a Banshee. So the first one we have said, when I was 12 years old, I went walking with my father on a frosty winter's night about 8 p.m. This was back in the 80s, where there was less traffic in rural Ireland. So he lived in Ireland. Cool. It was one of those nights where there's no noise. When we turned to head home, a terrible wailing started. I was terrified. My father said it was a fox, but I could tell that he was disturbed by it. We had to walk 2 miles home, and the noise seemed to follow us, not getting louder or fading either. When my father put the key in the door, the wailing stopped. My mother said that we were white as ghosts. 4 days later, my older brother was killed in an accident in Germany. We never spoke about it until 10 years later. I had moved to Dublin for work, and my father came to stay for a few days. He wasn't a drinker, but we went for a few pints. He got upset and was talking about my brother. He told me that it was definitely the Banshee that we heard, and told me that he had heard it 4 days before his father died.
Wow. So it's basically just a coming of death. It's like telling you, hey, something bad's about to happen.
Yeah, it's a warning. He said that it was I would probably hear it again when it was his time. He is still alive, but in a nursing home. I'm dreading to hear the noise again. That is crazy. Like, these are people's actual stories. Yeah. His brother died 4 days later, and then the dad already knew what it sounded like, and they heard it again, and his son dies. Can you imagine that?
Though if I
like, oh my god.
I think if I was in my homeland, if I heard the Banshee, I would be going to each and every family member, and we'd be having a ball, because I'm like, one of you is dead meat, guys. Don't know which one, but let's live while we're young and party.
Let's go do some river dancing in the meantime.
And then it would end up being me. I wonder if you hear it if you're yourself.
You're wondering if you hear if you're the one that's
are you gonna hear the Banshee if you're the one that's supposed to go? But if I heard the Banshee, no matter what, I'm going to all my family members, and I'm also like doing all the things I want to do. Do all the things I want to do. Yeah, we're gonna go Irish dancing, do a jig, drink a pint, catch a leprechaun or two, laugh, knock on wood, tell the spirits, kiss a tree, all those good things.
Throw some salt in the devil's eye. So I have another one. So this guy's like, I have one. When I was 18, myself and 2 friends were staying up late, listening to music and chatting. All of a sudden, screeching started up from the church behind my house. I've heard foxes, I've heard cats. This was similar, but for sure far more chilling and penetrating. We were all deeply unsettled. The joyous chats could not be resumed, so we decided to call it a night early. We joked half heartedly that maybe that was a banshee and how we hoped nothing bad would happen. 2 days later, our friend was murdered. The experience of the night was, of course, overshadowed by the grief of the loss of our friend and the horror of the senseless violence, but I drifted back to it. I would not say I believe in banshees. I understand how the human brain is good at making stories and patterns out of chaos, but that was certainly quite an experience. If anything would make me believe in that kind of stuff, this would be it.
Girl, why don't you
That's
believe
crazy.
though? Like, girl, I would be like, it's a banshee. I heard a banshee. If I heard this story, I would be telling anybody and everybody that would listen. I wouldn't say, my brain's just good at pattern. No, banshee.
I know, and then there's people commenting like, "Oh, it's probably a fox or an owl," and I'm like, "What's the convenience that
For real,
you
what
heard
does the
that and
fox
then
say? Apparently,
days
the
later
fox
someone
screams.
dies?" You good?
Yeah, maybe what if the banshee is just a fox? It's like,
Okay, this is from The Shadow Man 78, also from 2 years ago. Hear me out. Okay, so I don't know if this is a banshee or something else, but honestly, with the to be honest with you, I don't even know what what they are, but my experience is kind of similar to y'all's. So he must be from America, y'all. Or maybe I'm going crazy. Maybe he's of Irish descent, true Irish
yeah.
descent, so that's why he's hearing it. Because, we're a melting pot here in America. Or maybe I'm going crazy. But I know what I saw, so hear me out.
We heard you.
So it all started when my best friend was killed. Okay. Get right into it. I was 15, going on 16, and I remember it ever so clearly. I even remember the date, which was September 7th of 2015. I was asleep and I woke up, but I couldn't move, like sleep paralysis. Anyway, I saw a pure black shadow standing in my door. It felt like wasn't going to end. He was standing there. There was no words. Well, I don't think it was a banshee, sir. I think it was a sleep paralysis demon, but we'll see. There were no words, no nothing. Then I woke up and I went about my day, and on September 8th, 2015, I got a phone call from my mom asking me if I was okay. I asked her why. She told me that my friend died, and I instantly remembered the shadow, but I never said anything because I knew no one would believe me and probably get sent to the cuckoo hospital. And I don't know about all that. I just know what I saw though. Then again, on January 3rd, 2016, I saw him again. This time, I was in my room, but he came closer. No words, no noise, just pure silence. Then the next day, my grandpa had a stroke and passed away. Sounds like he has the angel of death. We need to do something on that one. He's getting visited, and then something happens the next day. He has like more stories. Okay. Again, on July 31st, 2018, this one was a little different, but I was asleep in the living room and I saw him again in the hallway, this time a lot closer to my body. and my body started burning. I couldn't move or make sound, but I felt everything. I felt like I was literally burning. Then my mom came running out of her room and woke me up saying my brother's house was on fire. We raced across town to find out my sister was there. She was murdered in the house fire set by her ex. This one drove me insane because the fact that I was supposed to be with her because she texted me and asked if I would go to drink a beer with her. And I said no because I had to work at 8 a.m. the next morning. It's like he cheated death, like he was
Mm-hmm.
supposed to go and he didn't.
He sounds like he
This
keeps
story's
doing that.
trippy. Then another time, this is in 2020. And another time on August 28th of 2020, this time I was awake. I was at work and it was probably 9ish in the morning because we hadn't opened yet. I was the opening cook and I was getting everything situated when I saw him again. A dark shadow standing in between the register and the counter. I felt it staring at me. I froze and I dropped the things in my hand and told my manager someone's in the store. I ran to the front and he ran after me. Just to find no one in the restaurant, I told my boss something was gonna happen and he asked me what I meant. I shrugged my shoulders and walked away. Probably gonna be the manager. No more than maybe 3 or 4 hours later, my mom pulls up and tells me my dad passed away a few hours prior.
Bruh.
He's like seeing it right before it
Bruh.
happens. That's terrifying. He's got one more. It was in 2023. Now, this is the last time I've seen him. So, this was 2 years ago. So, he posted in 2023. So, he hasn't posted, I guess, since then. So this is April 1st, 2023, last week. So he put this, I guess, submission he posted like a week after it happened. Driving from Texas to Illinois, it's about a 22-hour drive or something like that. Well, anyways, I stopped in Missouri to rest, and I dreamt that we left that town and the guy who was driving fell asleep and he slammed into an 18-wheeler and we all died. But I remembered seeing it happen, and right before it happened, I saw him on the side of the road. So the next morning, I woke up drenched in sweat and in a panic. I didn't want the guy to drive, so I took the wheel and drove 10 hours to Illinois. The crazy part is my coworker that drove in my dream slept the entire way. Then the same night I was walking to the store and I saw him again, but like he was following me. Then I got back to my hotel and I got in the elevator. I started hearing people talking, and when the door opened, I walked out and the hall felt so heavy. And it was so loud. I turned the corner and there he was, no more than 5 feet away from me. I unlocked my door, or why did he unlock his door? He unlocked his door and went to bed, and my roommate said I was crying and screaming in my sleep. The next morning, my boss's mom was hit head on during a car chase, and she almost didn't make it. I don't know what it is, but those are my stories. I'm not crazy. I'm a regular guy. I have a job. And it's not an everyday thing. It's only when something bad happens. To those who hear me out and read my story, thank you. I hope someone believes me and I can help understand what it is. Or maybe I am crazy. I don't know, man. It's unbelievable because I doubt myself sometimes too, but I can't explain it one bit. That is crazy. But I was like,
It doesn't sound like a
I feel like that's
banshee.
more of an angel.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a
Mm-mm.
banshee. It sounds
I
like
was like, it's a shadow person.
it feels like something's following him, or
And it shows
yeah,
up because
or he is
or he,
he's
like
able
we were saying,
to almost have visions of what might happen in the future. Because I feel like I've had dreams that have come true. Like I've seen things or I feel
It's
things.
kind of like
Yeah.
deja vu, but I'm like, they say you have that because it might have actually
Yeah.
happened and you're reliving
Yeah.
it.
I feel like there is still
That's why it's
people out there that
familiar.
can do that, that see things in dreams and that they come to fruition, or they sense things are going to happen before they happen. One, I think it's just we're able to do that because of our brains are pretty good at like trying to figure out what's the next thing's going to happen, so we're always prepared. But I also think, like I said, with the dreams and stuff like that, because sometimes I feel like I've been given signs almost. I don't even know if we would say signs, but I feel like it's almost an intuition type thing of like something's going to happen. And I think it might be also embedded in me because of having to be hyperfixated on the situation around me to either deal with it or know or try to predict what's going to happen before it happens. So I know how to either get out of a situation or how to get through a situation, I guess you'd say. I think those types of people, the empathic type people that are reading the room, reading people all the time, are more in tune to knowing what might happen next or something that's going to happen. So anything, that's a pretty interesting story.
Yeah, and I even listened to a like Medium podcast, and they were talking about how like some people, are open to that and some people aren't, and then they would be visited by people, that were either dead or something was about to happen type stuff, and it's crazy stories. And some of them they're like, it was an angel telling me, I need to tell this person this thing because like something bad's gonna happen type stuff. But it's just so fascinating. Like that part of it's so fascinating to me of how people can have that ability. But the fact that he had a dream that that guy was gonna die in a head-on collision driving a semi, and then he drove for the guy, and then the guy slept the whole time because that guy would
Tired.
he got a premonition that that guy was gonna fall asleep at the wheel, and so he saved him. But then it almost took someone else's life because he cheated, or the other guy cheated death because he helped him out. Makes me think of
Yeah, that's
Final
what I was thinking.
Destination, because they're like, you can't escape. If you cheat death, it's gonna come and
One
get
way or
you,
another.
type thing. You weren't supposed to escape. Okay, I got 3 more. These are really short ones, it looks like. Well, the last one's kind of long. Okay, this one's from Quick Insurance 1058. When I was 14 years old, I woke up to a wailing sound. Like just super loud and awful sounding, like someone was in pain and just a loud human wailing. I, for whatever reason, did leave my room, walked down the hall and went toward the living room where I continued but stopped soon after. Maybe a week later, my uncle suddenly passed away, and not even 2 weeks after that, my grandpa passed away suddenly as well. I don't know how I feel about the spiritual crap, but this is the one story I have that I know true in my brain that it happened. Whether it was 100% real or a damn hallucination, it was a sign of what was coming, and I will always believe that. The other weird thing is that I don't remember necessarily knowing what banshees were, but knew to look it up knowing that's what I heard. This was 10 years ago, so cut me some slack. It was odd. Be of Irish descent. Or she. That sounds like a he, but maybe it's a she. Alright, next story. A very smart name for me is the name of the person posting. I have one. Once I was lounging around my house alone. I turned off the lights and went to bed. But looking back, I saw something move in the dark. Unable to see what it was, I turned the lights on and behold, it was my cat. But wait, what was the cat lying on? Only the lap of an abnormally large doll. which was being held by a banshee. She has it in all caps.
Oh, one thing.
She looked at me.
One thing I thought. Did you catch on to that? Almost every time that they were talking about like the stories, they were referring to a banshee, even if we didn't think they were a banshee or not. Though, almost all of them were they were murdered. Did you notice that in a lot of those stories? Only one that wasn't murdered was that guy's dad. But all of them were saying they were murdered. But you know how that people believe that the banshee was like murdered, and that's why she's like doomed to the life to warn other people. Maybe if they're about to be murdered or it's a violent death, that's why she warns people. Or maybe that's why she's crying about it.
But it did have ones with the family members that died suddenly from strokes and stuff, which I guess a stroke could be violent, but no. Maybe if they don't die of natural causes. But you know death's not natural. But anyway, I digress. She looked at me, quivered, shivering nearly as much as I was, and then proceeded to hand me a sheet of paper. My tax revenue. Turns out it was so terrifying, it transcended into another world itself. Inflation is a real horror. Wow! Wow, God. Her girl, wow. Okay, we got one more. That one was, you can cut that one out unless you want to keep it in there for the funnies, because it was a lie. Tax inflation, that's a real jump scare right there. Okay, final one is from What I'm Playing. It was from a year ago. They say, I've ended up on a pure rabbit hole here. I've had 2 experiences in the past. The first around April 2008. I was 11 at the time. To this day, I still tell the story because it was one of the 2 times I've been convinced I witnessed something unnatural. I was asleep anyway, and I remember waking up at one stage during the night. Now I have been impacted by sleep paralysis, and as this was something that happened quite a bit when I was younger, but I can still to this day remember figure of a woman on her knees praying by the side of my bed. I remember it so clearly that I can feel the cold presence over me as I type it. Oh, I just felt cold.
Do you hear that?
Air conditioner must have came on. No.
Are you not listening to something?
You're giving me anxiety.
Are you not listening to something?
No.
I literally heard like a recording playing of a banshee singing.
Don't say that.
Do you have headphones on?
I have both headphones in.
It must have been somebody listening to something in your background. I heard it. I'm going to, guys, pause, enhance, turn it up a little. Did you guys hear that?
You freak me out.
Somebody listening to something in the background, because I heard it. I thought you were doing it like to be not funny, but like you played it in the background for a second. I was like, what the heck?
As I'm reading the story, like this one's up.
Girl,
one of the creepiest
we gotta go party real quick because I think I just heard the banshee.
I need just some salt to throw behind my shoulder. My left shoulder, to be exact. Okay, so anyway, I couldn't move. I was frozen, but eventually I managed to move my arm slowly towards my lamp, and I turned it on and the woman disappeared. I don't know if it was a banshee, as I can't recall a family death around then, but it was certain the most terrified I have ever been. I didn't sleep with the lights off for weeks. I know the mind plays tricks on you at times, especially when waking up in a groggy state, but it's the fact that it was so clear to this day. That's how I feel about some of our encounters, like growing up. I'm like, I can still remember everything. Yeah. The look of the room, like everything felt so vivid and real. The other encounter I had was Christmas Eve. I woke up throughout the night. I had left my bedroom door open, which is the first bad thing. You just inviting stuff in there. Never sleep with the doors open, guys. My husband thinks I'm crazy, but I'm like, me and my daughter will go and close all the doors. Like, we don't play. Close your doors. Don't sleep with the doors open. They're just asking for something. I left my bedroom door open for some reason, and the lamp from the downstairs hall was lighting the upstairs landing. It wasn't bright, but I could make it out and the landing very clearly. Anyway, I could see a big figure standing in the doorframe, just standing there, not moving or anything. I assumed in my head at the time it must be Dad in a Santa suit pretending to be Santa Claus because I knew he had one hidden somewhere. So I drifted back to sleep, convincing myself that it was him. Anyway, a few years later, I asked him, and he insisted he never did that. Obviously, not a banshee, but again, one of those times I've been convinced something supernatural was around me. So, that one was a very banshee-like.
Yeah,
I
I
feel like
feel
few
like
of these stories were definitely sleep paralysis demons.
yeah, they got
The
confused.
first one was banshee because
He was in
he was
Ireland,
from
yeah,
Ireland,
and the other
it
one
makes
was
sense. And the
too.
fact that the dad heard
Yeah.
it, and then his dad died, and then he heard it. Him and his dad heard it, and then the brother died. That one is trippy. So, first story definitely banshee. The other ones, no, I don't think so. But
you should look up really quick.
Creepy.
Oh, what about the coachman? Like the coachman of death and the Irish folklore. Well, maybe I will. Hold on.
Let's see. Death. Coachman. Let's see. In Irish folklore, pronounced as coach-a-bower or death coach, is a vehicle driven by Dullahan, a headless horseman, that heralds imminent death, often appearing after midnight and rumbling through villages. Here's a more detailed look about the coachman is a silent dark coach pulled by black horses, sometimes described as headless. Are the horses headless? The driver is Dullahan, a headless figure who carries his head. Association with the Banshees. The Dullahan is often associated with the Banshee, a female spirit who wails and is said to precede death. Omen of death. A sight or sound of the Dullahan is believed to be a sign of impending death, whether for a person who sees it or for a loved one. Beliefs. Once the Dullahan has come to Earth, it cannot return empty, meaning it must collect a soul. It is said that the Dullahan approaching gates should be open. If the Dullahan is approaching, gates should be open and allowed to pass, and that it should not be stopped. In Darby O'Gill and the Little People, the death coach is famously depicted in the Disney film Darby O'Gill and the Little People, which is all it says. People were afraid to witness the death coach, as it could mean imminent death for whoever sees it or the death of a loved one. It was also believed that if you open your door to the Dullahan, a basin of blood will be thrown in your face, as mentioned in folklore tales in Ireland.
What's their obsession with bowls and buckets of blood?
Like, surprise!
The Banshee carries around a bucket of blood too.
Get
sometimes.
Some tetanus.
Like, guys, we want to make this extra scary. You know what to make this extra scary? Bowl of blood. Banshee carries bowl of blood. Death Coach carries bowl of blood.
knocks on your door and pranks
Yeah,
you
he
by
literally
throwing
pranking.
blood in
He's like, trick or
face.
treat. Wait, I mean, actually, I'm gonna take your grandma while I'm at it. You're coming home with me.
To distract whoever
Yeah.
sees them so that way he can go and take their loved one
Well,
while they're cleaning up.
so what? I know you guys won't be thinking on, probably not be thinking on the Irish folklore, but maybe here's some food for thought while you're doing the pub crawls. You're doing the, what are they called? Are they called pub crawls?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on this St. Patty's
Drinking
Day.
some green beer.
Yes, just remember that if you hear the banshee, party hardy, because your day is counted and numbered, and you might be next.
Call your loved ones. Never forget to tell someone
The
you
ringing
love them,
in your ear might
know
not.
how long they're gonna be around.
The ringing in your ear might not be just because
it.
you're hungover. It might be the banshee.
You might not have tinnitus. It might be the banshee.
Never know.
You never know. It might be the banshee screaming, not your tinnitus acting up.
On that note,
lock your doors and check your windows.
because there might be a headless horseman with a bowl of blood to throw on you outside.